Hello, class. I wanted to do a quick emergency um, PowerPoint and lecture to let you know about what we will be switching to starting tomorrow. I received late notice last week, and I've been trying to put this together since then. But the University of Kentucky is canceling Adobe Connect, so I hope that in the next that you've been able to pull off any files that you have on your team meeting room and set up an alternative place for that. I would recommend Google Drive and Google Docs, but we'll get into that in just a second. The reason they're switching from Adobe Connect, I'm not 100% sure, and why they're doing it in the middle of a semester is even more of a mystery to me. But you know, I can't control what the University of Kentucky does, so we're just going to have to roll with it. My guess, and this is just a guess, is that Adobe Connect, the membership for it, for the version that UK used or is using for the next couple hours, it probably costs more than they're willing to spend. That, and the industry has moved away from Adobe Connect. It has a lot of useful features for an online teaching environment like what we use, but the university is not only using Adobe Connect for that. They're using it for teleconferencing and that sort of thing, for business purposes. And the business community, as I'm sure a lot of you know, has moved away from Adobe and on to other web-based platforms like what we're going to use instead, which is Zoom. I know that Zoom is used in the corporate atmosphere in a couple of companies around the Lexington area. I know that it is a preferred way of doing business, I guess is the best way to put it. But the other thing about Zoom is that it's a little less clunky than Adobe, and it's also less ad dependent than some of the other online meeting um, platforms. So I'm going to talk about Zoom, but I'll be honest with you, I'm learning how to use it as well. So if you guys discover any tricks or anything like that, please let me know. But we'll set this up as it goes. So here is Zoom. So how we're going to use Zoom, I'm going to, after today's, and I've recorded this on Monday, I'm going to switch to using Zoom for our office hours. So if you want to come talk to me or for the synchronous sessions, then that will be on Zoom, not on Adobe Connect, because the Adobe Connect meeting space will have been canceled. So we're going to use this, and I will include a link on our on our Canvas page so that you can get to this meeting space. But again, my office hours are Monday 12 to 2:30 and Wednesdays 3 to 5:30, just so you can remember in case you want to. This will also be used for team meetings, and I will put together the meeting rooms probably tomorrow, but you'll get a link to that also on your Canvas group page. But because Zoom is more stripped down than Adobe, there is no document sharing feature, and excuse me, and so there's no way to keep meeting minutes or meeting agendas or anything like that on Adobe Connect, or on Zoom rather. So instead, what I would recommend, and I highly recommend that you do this, especially for meeting minutes and agendas, is that you put together a Google Doc. Now, it's easy to do, and most of you have probably already done it for different classes and that sort of thing, but if you need a run-through of how to use Google Docs, please come talk to me, either in office hours or just via email. So you will have meeting minutes will still be due, but you'll need to put them together instead of using that useful notepad feature that Adobe Connect has. And as you can tell, I'm still kind of getting used to not having all those features. But here's what Zoom looks like. So this, after you download it, it's a simple app. It's not too much. After you download it, this is the home page of what it looks like. And I know it's not easy to see this, or maybe it's just my view, but you have your meeting times, you have the people that you're contacted with, you have your schedule, and that sort of stuff. What I've set up for us is a recurring meeting. So instead of having a meeting that lasts indefinitely, you have to set up a recurring meeting that will make a space for you. Otherwise, you can schedule quick meetings to talk. And if I were doing more regular conferencing with you guys, like if this were a Word 110 class, then I might use that feature so that we have specific times when we can meet. But otherwise, I prefer to use just a continuous meeting room. But you're welcome to do this if you need to schedule times to meet with your team and just want to schedule it as a specific one-off meeting. That's fine too. You guys can run that. So the home page, then you also have finding a meeting, and again, you'll have a link to this, but you can also look through meeting room name, all right, and find it. So you see this is me. You also, with this, it'll automatically connect you to video, and you can set it to connect automatically with audio as well. But this is, again, why you need your webcams operational for this stuff, especially with Zoom, because you're missing out on a lot of the shared screen functionality from Adobe Connect. So it's useful to talk to each other and be able to see what people are thinking or talking about. And we'll talk about how to share screens and that sort of stuff as well. But this is something that you're going to want to work on, and something that I'm still figuring out a little bit. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because, like I said, I don't know everything about this yet. I'm hoping that I know that what I've done on this so far has been pretty easy, but I wanted to let you guys know this as soon as I could, as soon as I had some sort of grasp on it. So here's returning to a meeting. So this is the recurring meetings, and you can see I already have meeting rooms for us set up. So you can, don't worry about the personal meeting ID. That's something that may come in handy later on, but you don't need it right now. So this is a lot of the functionality, but as you can see from a lot of these, it's a much smaller platform, much smaller program than Adobe Connect. So using it should be a little bit easier. I also know that Zoom is more mobile friendly, I guess is the best way to say it. It's better for your phone, better for your tablets than Adobe Connect because it's a smaller program. So you might want to look for those apps on the Apple Store or on Google Play. I'm not sure. But here you can see this is me in a very similar outfit. But you can see here, this is what the meeting room looks like. And I have not cut out much of the frame. So what you're seeing is the complete meeting room. When you first log in, it'll just be you teleconferenced up there, and then whoever else is included, tiled out like it would be on Adobe Connect. It is very dependent on audio-visual. This is not a web chat-friendly program. They want you to use webcams. Now, there is a chat functionality, okay, that you can use, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. But they do want you to use the audio video, or at least the audio to begin with. There's also, for the record, people, if you're struggling with technology, you can set it up so that there's a call-in option with Zoom. So that's another way to work with this. Again, Zoom is designed more for the office place than for the classroom, so that's where we get some of these differences in functionality. There's not so much worried about text-based, they're more worried about one-on-one connections, which is something that you see more in, I mean, it's important in the classroom, but you see it as very important in the business atmosphere. You also have your meeting options, okay? So this is a way to share screens. You can see some of the things that I have open. But when you share screens in Zoom, you can share what you're doing on a specific program. So for instance, I use MediaMonkey for audio, so you could see, I could click on this and you can see what I'm doing with different, which music I want to play and that sort of thing. Or I could go to Google Chrome and you can see this is what I'm looking at with Google Chrome. All right. You could also use a whiteboard, which if you want, I've heard bad reviews about it, but this is a way to work with this program a little bit more. It's instead of sharing your entire screen like with Adobe Connect, you can share individual specific things, which is useful if you are working on something you don't want to share it, but you want to share a specific web page or something like that. You also have, and this is the bar at the bottom, I would have shown it to you here, but as with a lot of information bars, it disappears if you're not paying attention to it. So you have your invite to invite people to the meeting. You have manage participants, which is very similar to Adobe Connect's functionality, and I'm sure I think it's just the difference between host and participant instead of having presenter roles. But this is something that I'm still trying to figure out right now, to be honest with you. You have share screen, which is this function where it pops up a different list of options for you, things that you can share. So if you have like 15 programs open, then there'll be like 15 things here, or 17 if you include these two options. But you know, less if you have less. You also have chat, which I've talked about, and record, which if you want to, I had originally said that I wanted you guys to record a meeting in order for me to see your group dynamics as you're meeting. I'm going to cancel that because Adobe Connect has been shuttered. So you can use this if you want, and this is especially useful if you're struggling to make your way through something so you have a record of what happened, or if you have someone that is failing to show up to meetings on a regular basis. This is a way to keep track of that. I don't recommend you waiting till the end of the semester and presenting me with a whole bunch of video. Let me know if things are happening, but this is a way to get some evidence. It's also useful if you're doing something complicated, you want to be able to retrace your steps. So recording is an option. And then here, as opposed to Adobe Connect where they had the breakout chat areas, here you can have breakout rooms where you just talk with one or two people from the larger meeting in a smaller room. And so this is another option if you choose to do it. And again, you can see with this that our concern is with like business-related activities, not with classroom-related activities. You don't have separate screens for file sharing or for raising your hand if you have a question type stuff. That stuff is stripped away in Zoom. You don't get it. So instead, you're focusing on peers working together rather than a teacher-student relationship. I hope this makes sense. As usual, if you have any questions, please let me know. There is an option, and this is, so here you can see this is the larger bottom bar, but here you can see the middle of it, and here's the edges. You can join the audio, that means listen in, or you can mute it if you walk away. You can start video. Okay, use this option. Talk to your people. Again, you have in meeting, but if you have a recurring meeting, do not end the meeting. This is the same thing as Adobe Connect. If you end the meeting, then everybody's going to lose out on the history that you have collected there, or you'll have to reschedule a different meeting. So it can be very difficult. So try not to do that. The other option is you do have the chat. Okay, so you just click down there on the bottom and you click on chat and it'll open this up. Okay, and you can see my wonderful visage or whatever. And then here you have, sorry, blanked out there for a second. Here you have the way to manage the participants, and again, I'm still trying to figure that out. To access this, you go to Link Blue, you use your Link Blue and username, you find the course meeting room in our Canvas, okay? I will put it in the course syllabus, but I'll also put it on Canvas so it's easier to get to. Zoom is one type of program used by businesses. I've already talked about that. So anyways, to find Zoom online on the website, you go to uky.zoom.us and you join a meeting, and you want to join our meeting, or you log in and then join a meeting. So logging in, you use your Link Blue like I just said. And when you're doing this, you should be able to do all of this without too much trouble. Take a look at the meeting room, see what's going on, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm sorry for the last minute notice. You know, UK makes these decisions and then sends them along. So please pull your stuff off of the Adobe Connect meeting space as soon as possible, and I will help you guys out learning this new program as soon as possible. For Word 111, make sure you talk to me, or make sure you learn this as soon as possible, because we have synchronous sessions this week. For Word 203, you have a little more time before we're going to meet synchronously, so kind of test this out. Good luck, have a good day, and I will talk to you guys later.